real, cause like I know who mattered to me, bro. And the shit like that, it was like a lot of people, a lot of y'all like don't even be deserving like the real me, bro. So it'd be like, oh.
All right, hold up for a second. Listen to this. Miss Jackson, yeah, that's Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s former situation. She walked away from Mayweather, linked up with Nelly, and eventually Nelly moved on from her too. Now where she stands today, honestly, that part's a little unclear. But remember this, she once tried dragging Mayweather into court, claiming he put hands on her, mistreated her, and took advantage of the situation. That was the whole narrative she pushed at the time, right? And the story being told back then was that she had been done dirty and was struggling financially. Now listen closely, because this next part is wild. Suddenly, she's acting like she's connected to Mayweather again, right when Nelly has clearly moved on and is building with Ashanti. She pops up in some advertisement and throws out this line like, oh, so that's all it costs. Y'all take credit cards? Then she flashes a so-called Money Team Visa card like it proves something. But hold up, anybody can customize a card design these days, so that doesn't automatically mean anything. Most likely it's just something she still had lying around from when she was actually involved with him. And let's be real, that card could have been shut down ages ago. Then they ask for the expiration date and she tosses out something like 1/28 just to keep the illusion going that Mayweather is still covering her lifestyle. To me, that whole performance screams desperation. Honestly, it even feels a little detached from reality. And if Mayweather somehow did circle back to that situation, then that would raise some serious questions too, because the man is clearly dealing with a lot behind the scenes right now. If I were in his position, I'd probably start liquidating assets and tightening things up. Sometimes you have to step back, reset, and move smarter. And let's be honest, there's always the possibility he decides to step back into the ring again. Think about it for a moment. After generating close to $1 billion across his career, you'd assume he'd still have at least a solid $250 million sitting comfortably somewhere. But here's the catch. We know he produced that kind of revenue, sure. Whether he actually kept $1 billion in profit, that's a completely different conversation, because generating $1 billion and walking away with $1 billion are two very different things. And if you really sit back and think about it, this just proves something important. Money can disappear fast at any level. It doesn't matter if someone earns $100K a year, $1 million a year, 50 million, or even hundreds of millions. Listen to this. It's incredibly easy to burn through cash when your lifestyle keeps expanding with it. Hold up, remember, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is known to fly 2 private jets at the same time sometimes. That's the kind of spending that adds up quick. Because at the end of the day, money isn't endless, and that's something people forget. Even though none of us are touching Mayweather-type income, our expenses are also nowhere near his level. Our bills might be regular, manageable stuff, but someone at his level, those expenses are on a completely different planet. The lifestyle alone probably costs millions just to maintain. Now, pause for a second, because this next part shifts the conversation. 50 Cent recently jumped into the discussion talking about entitlement. He basically says some of these rappers feel like they have the right to come at him. Then he doubled down, saying if any of them tried that energy in real life, he'd handle it himself, and called them a bunch of punks. And yeah, you already know the internet algorithm is eating that kind of drama. But honestly, let me give my take on it. I'm not sure people are really checking for new diss music from 50 Cent right now. Sure, Papoose dropped a solid diss track, but if we're being real, was it something most people were actually waiting to hear? Probably not. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes to admit. A lot of people online suddenly claim they support Papoose, but the numbers don't really back that up, because if that support was genuine, his streaming stats would look completely different. Right now, he's sitting around roughly 100,000 monthly listeners. In fact, it might even be under that depending on the moment you check. If the fan support was truly there, you'd see it in the streams too. His track Counting Green only sits at around 400,000 streams, which honestly isn't much in today's streaming economy. And let's be real, those numbers don't translate to serious money, not in the modern music business. And if fans were really riding for him like they say they are, they would have supported his album Nasarima Dream. You remember that concept, right? America spelled backwards. He pushed that idea heavy when it dropped. But after everything that happened with Remy Ma, her relationship, her prison sentence, and her comeback, things just never seem to move the same for Papoose. I'm not saying that to disrespect him, it's just the reality of the situation. Sometimes careers shift and never fully bounce back. It is what it is. And in hip-hop, the numbers usually tell the real story, whether people like it or not. Now, compare that situation to T.I. At least he's actually benefiting from the attention around the beef. His song Let 'Em Know was pulling serious traction. Last check, it was already sitting above 15 million views and pushing close to 16 million. And get this, since the back and forth with 50 Cent started, T.I. has gained roughly 78 million additional views across his content. That's a huge jump. So whether people love the drama or hate it, in this case, it's definitely working in T.I.'s favor. Now, let me be clear though, I'm not here defending 50 Cent in this whole situation. Personally, I'm just not really interested in hearing him drop more diss tracks at this stage. At this point, most fans associate him more with TV production and building shows than rap battles. And that's actually been his lane lately, producing series and building entertainment projects. The music side feels like a secondary move now. That's just where his career evolved over time. But of course, 50 still had one more jab to throw. He joked that the secret formula to never blowing up in rap is having a 25-year career with 0 hit records. Then he attached Papoose to that statement. And he even added another challenge on top of that. He said if Papoose manages to make 1 real hit record, then maybe he'd respond seriously. Until then, he claims there's nothing to respond to. Because according to 50, Papoose doesn't actually have a certified hit record. Sure, people remember some of his material from the old DVD and mixtape era, but in terms of a major mainstream hit, that's the argument 50 Cent is making right now. And that was basically the end of his message. He even added one last jab. He said, until then, go hang out with your boyfriend. Well, your girlfriend. Yeah, hold up. He was clearly taking a shot at Clarissa Shields, who people joke could probably handle Papoose in a fight. And let's be real for a second. She's a world-class boxer, so of course she's built differently. If you've seen them side by side, she actually looks bigger than him. Some people online even joke she could bench press him. That's the internet roasting culture for you. Now, switching gears, listen to this. Kodak Black recently claimed he stopped getting high and says he's sober these days. And according to him, he's not even trying to convince anybody. He basically said he's just living his life and people can believe what they want. Still, some folks think he's just chasing attention again, because whenever Kodak speaks, the internet starts buzzing. Alright, hold up for a second, because this part gets interesting. There's a clip floating around of Kodak Black talking about it directly. In the video, he's basically saying he doesn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone anymore. That's the stance he's taken publicly. Now, do I fully believe him? Honestly, I'm not completely sure. But at the same time, I'm not in his personal life either. So at the end of the day, people are going to make their own judgment about it. And here's the thing. Even with all the controversy, Kodak Black is still one of my favorite artists. Same goes for Boosie Badass. The reason is simple. They move how they want and don't apologize for being themselves. Whether people love that or hate it, that authenticity is what keeps fans locked in.
Yeah, for real, cause like I know who mattered to me, bro. And the shit like that, it was like a lot of people, a lot of y'all like don't even be deserving like the real me, bro. So it'd be like, oh, okay. I see like how y'all treat a nigga if a nigga was on my dick. You know what I'm saying? Or if a nigga was on the side of the street or some shit like that. You feel me? Cause like mind over matter. The people who mind, they don't matter. The people who matter, they don't mind, bro. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Look where we at. Straight up, the fuck.
Looks like you
I get this on my ride.
some
Crackhead, junkie, baby dude.
All right, hold up for a second, because things got messy after that. We then saw Young Thug respond to Boosie Badass, basically telling him to relax and chill out. Thug even admitted Boosie had a point in some ways. He explained that the police have genuinely had it out for him for years, and his argument was that sometimes the system is just waiting for any excuse to slap charges on you. This all came after Boosie started talking about protective custody. His whole point was simple. If you're really built like that, you don't check in to PC. According to him, guys who come from the trenches already understand the rules. And in that street mentality, going into protective custody automatically labels you as weak. To him, that's just the code. Then Young Thug responded respectfully and basically said, "You right, OG." But he also tried to explain that some situations are different. He pointed out that certain artists are targeted way heavier by law enforcement. In his view, the police sometimes already want to see certain people fall, and that pressure can change how situations play out behind the scenes. But listen to this. Another voice jumped into the conversation. Terrence "Gangster" Williams, often called Ro in these discussions, fired back and questioned Thug's credibility. He basically said Thug hasn't even stepped foot on a real federal prison yard. According to him, that trial situation was light compared to what others face. And now he feels like Thug is moving around like some kind of Escobar figure. Ro even doubled down on his own reputation. He said people have called him a rat before, but he still walked prison yards with his chest out. That's the image he's trying to project. But hold up, here's the part people don't like to talk about. Even Ro has had paperwork floating around that critics call questionable. And honestly, that just shows how complicated these street narratives get. Nobody is completely immune from accusations. Whether it's Ro, Young Thug, or anybody else, there's always someone online digging up something. And the reality is, very few people get stamped as 100% solid forever. We've seen paperwork debates, old interviews, and all kinds of stories resurface. Ro had that controversial police interview people bring up. Others mention odd details in past cases involving Boosie Badass too. When you line all of it up, it starts showing that the street code conversations are never as clean as people make them sound. Then Young Thug shifted his attention and called out Mondo, telling him to stop talking and go to work. And honestly, that comment rubbed some people the wrong way, because a lot of folks feel like Mondo held things down during tough times. So hearing Thug dismiss him like that came off a little disrespectful. Meanwhile, a major legal update dropped involving Lil Durk. His defense team just got stronger with the addition of Brian Steele joining the case. Steele is officially stepping in to help represent Durk in the federal murder-for-hire case in Los Angeles. And according to reports from Megan Cuniff, the case is moving forward quickly. Jury selection is expected to start on August 20. Now, switching to something positive, listen to this. Kodak Black recently blessed his mom with a brand new Porsche for her birthday. And that wasn't all. He also handed her $50,000 in cash. That's a serious birthday gift. And here's the funny part people mention online. Boosie Badass is known for doing big things for his mom too, but sometimes he jokes about taking the gifts back afterward. That's just Boosie being Boosie. But if we're keeping it honest, Kodak Black consistently shows love to his community in big ways, whether it's helping families, giving back locally, or doing random acts of generosity. And even critics have to admit that's something he does a lot of.